What is up, SEC Primetime Live? We are back for episode 2, and tonight, like always, it's me and my guy Josh Mahler, and we are here to rank from 16 to 1 the top quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. Josh, I think this is going to be a pretty fun episode, and kind of how we did it is I made a list, Josh made a list, we kind of synced it together, and we played it by average. All right, so like I think we had different lists, but they weren't really that far off, Josh. And I think it kind of synced pretty well.
Mhm.
And I think you made a heck of a graphic, and we're gonna go over that tonight. But how you doing? How you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty well. It's been a fun week. It's been kind of a relaxing week for me, kind of a chill week at work and everything. So that's been good.
Yeah,
And then, of course, looking forward to getting on here and getting this thing going, and hopefully this week a little bit better connection between the two of us. No, I'm excited. Yeah, like you said, we just each made our own rankings, and then go through there, basically make an average of each of them, and based on those averages, we'll kind of go through them. Still give our own rankings. That way, people know,
yeah,
hey, listen, don't blame me for him being this high. That was Blake's fault. But no, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, man. Look, we're so close to college football, and I feel like we keep saying it and saying it, but Josh, it's here, man. Saturday, it's here. 11 a.m. We have I know it's not SEC football, but we got a massive Big 12 matchup, man. Like, I just want to get your quick thoughts on like football season being here next Friday night, Auburn, and they go out to Baylor, and then Saturday is the SEC slate and all the big time matchups. Like, how are you feeling that football season's finally back?
Man, it's crazy because I was just talking to somebody, and I was like, they said something about this weekend, and I was like, "You mean next weekend?" I was like, "Wait, no, yeah, this weekend. It starts.
Yeah,
It's like you said,
yeah,
not SEC, and really not a whole lot of good games. We do have Iowa State, K State over in
yeah,
Ireland. I think that's going to be fun. I enjoy those games. It's just there's certain teams I don't think should go over there. Like next year, they have it set up with Michigan and Western Michigan. Like you're going to take
yeah,
an hour and a half commute and turn it into like 12 hours or whatever that is to fly over
yeah,
there. That's crazy to me. And it's got to be good games, like I mean, I like Nebraska, that. But I didn't like Nebraska Northwestern. I didn't like Notre Dame well, Notre Dame, who'd they go against? Was that Georgia Tech?
Georgia
Um,
Tech, they beat Florida State, didn't they?
yeah, they beat Florida
Oh,
State. Who did Notre Dame go over there against?
I
It
can't
was another
remember.
one that it was just they mopped the floor with them. And like this one feels right. Like you put two good teams over there, you display what college football really is over there to those Irish people. Like that's what it's all about. Navy, yeah. So
Navy, good
Brett put
call,
that down in
Brett.
the chat. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew it was one of those
Yeah,
blue and gold. That's what I hadn't locked in my head. But yeah, man, I'm excited for sure. It's going to be exciting. Next Thursday, SEC starts, I believe, with
okay.
Mizzou. So
Yeah, that's
Mizzou's out
right.
there. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if one of our quarterbacks here on this rankings is actually a starter. That is Bo Prabula.
Oh man, well, you want to hop in here and get these rankings started and
Let's get
just
it
pull up
going,
our
man.
graphics. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, kick it off.
All right. Let's start off with the first four. I guess the last four, the bottom four, and we'll start off with those. So, like we mentioned, this is Blake and I kind of went collaborative here, and
Hmm.
Blake, you and I pretty much had these last four pretty well right there together.
Hmm.
So like starting off at the bottom, Zach Calzada, I had him at 15, you had him at 16. Prabula, I had him at 14, you had him at 15. Aguilar, I had him at 16, you had him at 14. So basically, just all three of them, we said just throw them at the bottom of the list. But ultimately, that's where we come out. Zach Calzada, probably deservingly, put him down at the bottom. Joey Aguilar, I just don't know what to expect from him. And then you and I were talking about Bo Prabula. Man, I'm not sure whether we should put him that high because we don't even know if he's going to be the starter. So how can he be one of the top 16 quarterbacks if he's not even a starter? And then of course up there at 13, we both had Blake Shapen right there. I think pretty accurately ranked at number 13. But for me, it was just these are like the easiest four for me to say. Okay, I don't know what order I'm going to put them at, but I'm putting them towards the bottom.
Yeah, and Zach Calzada, I had him at the bottom because I think Kentucky, man. I think this is it for Stoops, and I just think it's a bad situation. And we talked about the transfers that they had, and you lose a massive receiver. Just, I think it's a bad situation. Joey, man, I just got to see it. I hear the Tennessee fall camp stuff, and I hear that he has a chance to grow into it and be better than Nico in that offense. And I just got to see it first before I can make this outlandish take and put him up there. Like, just show me. And then Bo, man, like you said, we don't even know if he's going to be the starter. It hasn't been named yet. We think he is, but another thing is in this conference, you got to throw it around a little bit. And like I said, I got to see it first. Blake Shapen, I would have probably had him a little higher if he wasn't for last year and the injuries and all that stuff, man. Because I think the dude's a gamer, and I might have would have had him a little higher, Josh, if it wasn't for that. But they're right there at 13. I think that's as solid as it gets to start it off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many people could really disagree with the bottom four. I feel like some people will call us out for Joey Aguilar after the season, because I'm starting to feel a little bit better with him as we get closer to the season. But, and it's more or less that I know Josh Heupel and I trust him. But as far as Joey Aguilar, I mean, I watched this dude play at, let's see, where he was at UCLA before. You didn't really see a whole lot out of him there. And then he was at App State before that, right? So I don't know. I'm not confident in him. That's the only one that I think on the bottom four, people are going to be like, oh, that's just disrespect. And then hopefully people understand Bo Pribula, we had to put him somewhere down there because we don't even know if he's going to be in there. And then, Blake Shapen's one of those two where I think he's another guy that if he was on a better team, he could be in the top 10. I do like Blake Shapen a lot. I think he's talented. It's just, I don't know if we're going to see that talent. And therefore, that's why I had to kind of put him low personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's the next ones?
All right. Next four up from there, we got Gunnar Stockton there at 12. And then we've got 11. We've got Taylon Green, Arkansas, Austin Simmons, and then Jackson Arnold up there at number 9.
I can tell you with Gunnar Stockton, the reason I had him lower on my list is because that Notre Dame game, right? And he hasn't played a lot of football. That Notre Dame kind of scared me a little bit. I thought when he come in against Texas, I thought he played well, but it just looked a little gun shy against Notre Dame.
Pun not intended.
I don't think he's going to be bad by any means, and I don't think Georgia needs him to be anything special. If he could just be serviceable, a game manager, and just not turn it over and lose Georgia games, if he could just move the football, move the chains, man, keep them in situations to make plays late, they have so much talent. They're gonna succeed. They're gonna have a great year. Because they got players, dude. They got the Jimmies and the Joes. So this isn't a knock towards like his talent. He hasn't played a lot of football for me. And that's why, because I know some Georgia fans are probably going to come in here and they're like, oh, Gunnar Stockton, the disrespect is crazy, And I don't think it's disrespect to his talent. I think it's just the fact that we haven't seen him play a lot of football. And so that's it for me.
And from what we saw from Gunnar Stockton, I do think, I think a perfect comp would be over to Diego Pavia for him. I think him and Diego Pavia, from what we saw anyways from Gunnar Stockton, is he likes to be kind of that athletic and kind of tough quarterback. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of true quarterback qualities out of Gunnar Stockton. And again, we don't have too much to base that off of. So that's again, I agree with you. I think that's why he's lower. I think the reason why he's so high on this list above these other guys is because he's on Georgia's team. I think if you're a Georgia quarterback, you have to. You're not terrible, right? I think you've got to be pretty high up there, and I've got faith that he can be better. And I don't think we saw everything from him. And then with going through here too, I guess I'll throw these out too. So let's see, starting off with Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar, you had him ranked at number 10, and then I had him ranked at 11. So we were pretty accurate, pretty close there. For Taylor Green, you had him ranked 12th. I actually ranked him up at 7. So this was probably like the biggest gap between you and I. So I had him ranked up at number 7 just because I thought, this one, I like the athletic quarterbacks that are speedy. I mean, he's got a lot of speed, and then he can throw the ball. It's just his decisions aren't there for higher quarterback IQ, and so I need to see that a little bit more.
What I have to see from Taylor Green is the accuracy, Josh, and he's got to put the puzzle. He's got to put the puzzle together because he's only got a couple pieces missing. The athleticism is off the charts. I'm not knocking him here. I think he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the country, but we got to piece a full 4 quarters together, and when he does that, watch out.
Yeah.
Because his legs, him having the ability to escape the pocket and not just pick up a first down, he can take it for a house call.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with Taylor Green. But I have to see you start stepping up into the pocket on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and delivering strikes, hit the dig, and pick up the first down. And sometimes it's just not there. And that's why he's sitting where he sits, 12th for me? Because I have to start seeing those things. And yeah, look, Arkansas, you can say what you want to about them. They did knock off Tennessee at home last year. So a lot of people are down on Sam Pittman. They think that this could be the end of the road for him if they don't succeed. But one thing Arkansas has in their corner is they're returning their quarterback. And a lot of other SEC teams can't say that. So I think that is a big piece. You just got to have him put that piece into the puzzle.
Yeah, 100%. And what's funny is that you and I actually had these two, Austin Simmons and Taylor Green. We had them reversed. I had I had Taylor Green at 7. You had Austin Simmons at 7.
Yeah.
And then I had Austin Simmons at 12. You had Taylor Green at 12. So it's funny how we kind of thought a little bit opposite on these two. For Austin Simmons, the reason why he made it down so low was because of me. And I think with Austin Simmons, I just don't have enough film to look at it. Now you can go back to last year when he did have to come in for Jackson Dart and look at him a little bit there. And I believe that he's done playing baseball from what I heard. He's not trying to do 2 sports. He's focusing all in on football. So I think he's got the potential. This is from what I know and what I can definitively say. And I just don't have enough on the tape to really make my argument to put him too much higher. In fact, I think Taylor Green is better than Austin Simmons, but the way that our averages worked out barely put Austin Simmons really right ahead of him. And I think they both had a 9.5 on our average. So that's they both were right there. You could swap either one of those, I think.
The reason why I was kind of high on Austin Simmons is because of his head coach. Lane Kiffin is one of the brightest minds, offensive minds in college football. Sometimes on 4th down, maybe not so much, but we all love Lane. We love the trolling on social media. We love the play calling, and I think he's done a tremendous job with the quarterback position at Ole Miss. And so I think he is going to put Austin Simmons in better situations than Taylor Green will be put in. And I think Austin Simmons is going to have better weapons than what Taylor Green's going to have. So that is why I had Austin Simmons in that 7 spot, because I think his head coach is going to have better moments with him and allow him to be able to throw the ball around. He's going to throw the ball around the yard because Lane's going to do it. He's not coming in there and he's not running 12 personnel and he's not going to pound the football, and he's just not doing it. He wants to throw it around the yard. He wants to get sticky with it, and he wants to throw the clipboard 30 feet up in the air and call his touchdown. All right. Yeah. And so that's why I got Austin high, and I think Lane's a bright mind, man.
Yeah. I like Austin Simmons too. I mean, I'm not, I think putting him down to 12 was hard for me. And again, it's just because I don't know. But I do agree with you. I think the potential is there, and potential. Let's move on to that guy that we've got at number 9 there too, because I think at number 9, I think I see potential. It's just from what I know, I had a hard time even ranking him as high as I did. You probably put him at a more favorable, or not favorable, a more accurate rank than what I did. I had Jackson Arnold at 8. You had him at 10. Kind of averaging him out there at 9, and I think that Jackson Arnold could be top 5. The closer that we get to season, and some of the more of the clips, at least on the national stage, you're not seeing many clips or many anybody really talking about Jackson Arnold doing good in practice, and that's scary. Getting closer to season, but I know that the potential is there. It's just whether Hugh Freeze uses the right methods to get him to where he could be.
So one thing I'll give a sneak peek here on is what we're hearing out of Auburn. Hey, I'm Blake Lane. I'm an Auburn guy, but I'm not gonna come on this channel and be a orange and blue homer. But I will tell you this: what we're hearing is RPO is electric with Jackson Arnold. It's the drop back game that we got to get a little more rhythm to.
Which is so weird, because that's the opposite of what he struggled with at Oklahoma. That just,
I remember you saying that,
and it didn't make sense to me. Like that's because that's what I've been hearing too. Is that
yeah.
RPO is working fine, but it's more or less just making your decisions, going through your progressions, and finding that guy, which is so weird. I mean, the only times that he struggled with that at Oklahoma last year was when the offensive line was just banged up and letting everybody through. They were stopping defenders like they were mosquitoes trying to go through a chain link fence. So, I think that's the main reason why he struggled so badly last year. And Auburn does have a much better offensive line and dealing with much better offensive line than what Oklahoma was dealing with last year.
Yeah, and look, I don't think Auburn needs Jackson Arnold to go win a Heisman Trophy. I don't think Auburn needs Jackson Arnold to be Nick Marshall or any, like I said, Cam Newton. Like, you don't need Jackson Arnold to do that. You just need Jackson Arnold to not fumble the football, not make the boneheaded mistakes that you've had the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And if Jackson Arnold can be the 9th best quarterback in the Southeastern Conference for Auburn, I think you're looking at a positive season. Yeah. I think you fill out, you check all the boxes of what the talking heads are saying about you in the preseason. If Jackson Arnold can be top 10 in SEC quarterbacks, you don't have to have him go out here and throw for 3,800 yards and things like that. You need Jackson Arnold to hold on to the football, because turnovers have killed you at Auburn the previous 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Auburn hasn't had a winning season, and turnovers have bit you. So you just need Jackson Arnold to manage and say, hey, look, I got Cam Coleman, I got Eric Singleton Jr., I got Malcolm Simmons, I got Perry Thompson, got Horatio Fields. Like, you're good. You're good. Just deliver. And so that's why I'm kind of high on Jackson. I am a little nervous. You're going on the road your first week. It's on a Friday night. That kind of, I don't know. I got to see, but he's comfortable playing Friday night in Texas. So
yeah, true.
That's a positive thing. But yeah, I think Jackson, if he could live up to even 9th or 10th in the SEC, man, I think Auburn checks that 8-win mark, and what the talking heads have predicted for them.
Yeah, and again, this is preseason top 16, top rankings. Like not top 16, but you're just overall rankings. So yeah, I mean, this is what we know about him right now. It's not. I'm not putting any of this into what I think they can be, because if it's what I think they can be, then I think guys like Jackson Arnold, maybe even Joey Aguilar, possibly Bo Perbula, can make their way up this list. And that's something that we'll do later on, and towards the end of the season is go back through and kind of compare it to what we think they are at the end of the season. And compare these 2 lists, see how they ended up stacking up. But for everybody watching over on X, we are going to cut the stream over on X. Jump over to YouTube real quick, search for SEC at the Voice of College Football, and follow us over there. Subscribe. And then, of course, anybody watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button. Quick way to help us keep on growing here on this channel. This is only our 2nd episode for SEC Primetime Live. So Blake and I are here for the long haul. We're going to be keeping this thing rolling as we go through the season, and we're going to try to get this thing rolling. So everybody watching on X, we're going to cut that X live stream. So make sure you jump over to YouTube to follow along. Jump in that live chat as well, so we can see your guys' live chats. And of course, as we build up that viewership and everything as well, we're going to be taking in call-ins and all kinds of stuff as well. So looking forward to that. But everybody on X, jump over to YouTube, and we'll continue the show over there.
Let's go.
But yeah, Blake, let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on up to the I guess the final 8, right?
Yeah, Brett in the comment section. No. So I'm just laughing at my guy Brett, man. I'm laughing at my guy Brett. He's like, I haven't even heard of some of these guys. So
no, yeah, and it's true too. I mean, some of these guys, yeah, I mean, if you don't really study, I mean, so a lot of fans, right? A lot of fans just study their team. You got to keep up on your team. You got to know what's happening for whenever the season starts. Unless you really start to dive in, because my brother and I were talking about K-State, Iowa State. I was like, dude, I've been focusing so much on Oklahoma and on the SEC. I haven't even had time to look around. I don't even remember who's starting for K-State's quarterback. And I had to look, and I was like, okay, it's starting to come back to me. But some of these guys, they're not even from the SEC. Bo Perbula is from the Big Ten. Joey Aguilar is from, I guess, Pac-12, Big Ten, whatever. So yeah, it's a lot of new names.
Yeah, man. And look, this top 8 right here, this is, I think, the guys that, like, I look at outside of Diego Pavia. I think these guys could lead their team to a college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And
you and I were talking too. We were talking before this. I do agree with you. I think I ranked Pavia a little too high on this because I ended up putting him up at number 5 in my rankings. And you kind of convinced me too, because he's an athlete for sure. He's a dog. If we're marking dogs in the SEC, he's probably number 1. SEC quarterbacks, he's number 1. But yeah, I mean, if I'm being a little bit more, if I'm stepping back and taking a deeper look at some of these guys, I'm probably putting him down closer to 8, 9. Maybe even 10. And see, for years you had Pavia down at 11. Yeah. So I mean, it's 5 and 11. That ended up putting him right here, ranking here on our list up at what is that? I'm losing track of my 7th.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a guy that could be moved down if we're doing preseason rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I get why you have him there because, what he accomplished last season. And like you said, he's got that dog and he's a leader. And when you really watch that SEC doc on Netflix and you see his attitude, and there was a clip in there where he said that when he got to Vandy, like he walked into the weight room and everything, and he heard some of the guys talking, and they were like, "Oh, we could win this game. We could win that game. We're probably going to lose that game." And then he checked them, and he was like, "Nah." He was like, "We're winning all these games. We're winning every game. We're not going down the schedule and doing this." And so I get why people think, "Oh, Pavia high, on my list of SEC quarterbacks." I get it. I just think great athlete, mediocre quarterback. I'm not going to see Diego Pavia on Sundays in the NFL. That is why I have him low. I'm not taking anything away from the guy that buckles it up on Saturdays and goes out there and gives 110% for the Vanderbilt Commodores, because I love it. Yeah. And sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, he's an off-brand Johnny Manziel. He tries too hard." My thing is you got to have a certain type of swagger to go into Vanderbilt. And he did it. And he come from New Mexico State, which is an all-time loser program. And he bet on himself to go to Vanderbilt and succeed. So you got to have some type of dog. And when they're like, "Oh, well, Diego Pavia said that Vanderbilt's going to win the national championship." What else do you want him to say?
Yeah.
Do you want him to get on there and say that they're going 2-10?
Yeah, I love his mentality. The only thing that rubbed me wrong was whenever I saw people at SEC Media Days asking him about celebrities, and he didn't know anybody. Like, and then the fact that he was on Bussin' with the Boys, and he didn't even know who Josh Pate was. And
Oh,
and then like there's little things. That's the part that irritates me. Man, you're
yeah,
so disconnected from reality. But that tells me he's focused on one thing.
yeah,
He wants to go out there and be that dog. The reason why I think I put him so high on this list is I imagine if Diego Pavia had, maybe if he was on Arkansas even, and
yeah.
I'm saying Arkansas is better than Vanderbilt in football. That seems like an outrageous thing to say right now, which is crazy to think
Nah,
about. But if he was on Arkansas, because Arkansas still does pull in some athletic, some talented dudes. If he was on maybe Arkansas, or let's see if he were to go over to Mizzou this year, I think he could
mhm,
be high up on this list if he had
yeah,
the weapons around him. And so, I think that's why I would have ranked him a little higher. But I like that we have him down there at 7. I think that's a good ranking for him.
yeah,
And then for
for
Ty
sure.
Simpson, again, we don't have too much on him. But I'd feel so. I was looking back at Ty Simpson, is some highlights, his huddle film and stuff like that. And when
Mhm,
I was studying the film for Ty Simpson, and I think I've heard others say it as well. I'm sure I have, because I know that there's a lot of people saying that they're high on Alabama and high on the quarterback situation. And I think one thing that I look at, it was no secret that Jalen Milroe didn't really fit Kalen DeBoer's system.
for
There was
sure.
no secret there. Was he the better quarterback to go with, though? Yeah, you had to go with him last year.
Yeah,
And so he didn't really fit that system. Ty Simpson fits. And
yeah,
I think he's another guy that, if Alabama ends up going 11-1, he's probably the second or third best quarterback in the SEC, top
yeah.
5 in the nation, probably, if that's the case. So I think if he ends up fitting the way that I think he can be much higher. We just don't know. Marcel Reed is another dog. He's just an athletic human being, can do a lot. And Texas A&M always has. We were talking about this last week. They've always got their ceiling is always very high. It's just that their floor is also pretty low,
Mhm.
always. And so that's kind of the crazy thing with Texas A&M. And then Arch Manning came down a little bit because of me. So for Manning, you had him at 3, I had him at 6. Again, it's just another situation where I saw him struggle against, I believe it was Mississippi State, and then there
Yeah,
was, I also saw him struggle against some lower competition and non-conference play, and I saw some struggles. I think he will be much better this year. That's why I put him all the way up there, as high as I did at 6. So I think he's better than over half the quarterbacks in the league. But I'm not quite ready to say he's as good as Heisman favorite good.
mhm,
I haven't seen enough from him yet. I think
mhm.
he's going to be a freak. I really do. It's just from what I know right now, I have to mark him down a little bit lower. So we end up having him come in there at number 5, which is still dang good. I mean, if he's number 5, watch out. Texas is going to be good this year.
I'll tell you this, Josh. I got Ty Simpson. I got him. I had him at 9, I believe. And I don't think this is a bad thing for Alabama because I think Ty Simpson comes into one of the best situations possible. You got Ryan Hollywood Williams, Jeremy Bernard come back. I think that's massive. I know you lost Jam Miller. He's going to be out for a little bit of time, but you're deep in that running back room. Your defense is what it is. So, like, once again, this is another situation where we don't really need Ty Simpson to go
Yeah.
out and be a Heisman Trophy contender. It's just not in the cards. And it reminds me so much of like Mac Jones in 2020, a guy that
Yeah.
waited, he bought his time, and then all of a sudden he gets his chance and bang, it takes off, right? And I think that's the situation Ty Simpson's in. And so I think it's a good fit. I do. I really do. And if he ends up hitting, then I think Alabama has a tremendous season. Diego Pavia, look, I'm cool with it. I mentioned him, dog, whatever. I like it. I think the kid's a gamer, right? Marcel Reed. I think this guy actually has the potential to take off and be one of the one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And I think he could end up potentially playing on Sundays if he figures out accuracy, touch, and just let it rip, man. Like let it go, you know. And there was times last year. I remember when Auburn, he come to Auburn. It was like, man, you could see you like, oh dang, there he goes. and it was just like rip, 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 and you were like, man, this dude's talented. And then there were some times where it was like you could just see the hesitation a little bit. Now he was young, I get it. I'm looking at him in the future. I think he has a high upside, man. I think he could go as far as he wants to work, and I'm really excited about Marcel Reed's future because we know he's got it in the legs. Like I mean, dude, I mean he's quick as a cat. So I'm excited about him. Arch, look, I'm high on Arch because I think, like I said about Austin Simmons, I put Arch in that category. Josh, I think your head coach is going to put you in situations that others just aren't going to do, and you also have the weapons around you. You got the talent. You got the Jimmies and the Joes around you, and I think you're going to be in favorable positions that other coaches aren't going to put their guys in. So I think Arch is going to have an upper hand, and I think we're going to really be able to tell that Ohio State game is going to tell us a lot. But I'm looking at like week 3, week 4. I want to see the growth of Arch Manning and him really hit stride and take off. So I'm high on Arch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I will be when I see it, and I think
Yeah, yeah,
week one is when we're going to see it.
yeah,
And that's something we'll get to as well as some of these big time matchups, and there's a lot of big ones.
for
And
sure.
so yeah, I think week one I'll probably change my mind and say either Arch Manning deserves to be lower or Arch Manning deserves to be higher. Because if you go into Columbus and you just perform solid, we don't need, again, that's another situation. You don't really need to do anything spectacular. You don't have to have a Heisman moment against Ohio State there in the horseshoe. You just have to go up there and do your thing. You
Yeah,
just have to go up there and fill your role and trust the talent around you. Like you said, they are
yeah,
talented over there. I mean, Texas has a very talented team.
for sure.
But and so all you've got to do is just fit in with that talent around you, and I think he'll be just fine. So if he does that, I'm probably putting him up there like number 3.
Mm,
I think because I think it was, for me, it was really kind of between him and Lagway. I had a hard time, like he could jump up like right ahead of Lagway,
yeah.
just because I think he possesses more of I guess not more. He has the potential of possessing more than what Lagway shows. Lagway,
Mm,
another athletic freak, but how much of all that is going to come in? So I had Manning at 6. You had him at 3. That's where he ended up falling there, and then he was just behind, half a point behind the next guys above him. But whenever we did our averages together,
mm-hmm.
so yeah, I'm interested to see how good. So I think a lot of what rides on Texas this season is just how good Arch Manning really can be.
Yeah,
Because if he is Jackson Arnold last year for Texas, then that's going to turn a lot of things around. I don't think that's the case because I think they have enough talent and they're built up around him just fine. But I more or less question Texas because they lost so many guys to the draft.
mm-hmm.
But I do know that they stack on top of each other. So they're very good over there at doing that right now. And I do have a lot of faith in Sarkisian to do well. As much as it pains me to sit here talking good about Texas, and yeah, I think Arch Manning has the potential. He has a very high ceiling. He has
Yeah.
a lot of potential. It's just whether he's going to live up to that potential or not. I just have to see it.
I'm with you 100%, man. I think he could be a real gamer, and I think we could watch him for a long time on Sundays.
Probably, probably. He's got that last name. Let's
That's
go
a
ahead and move
fact.
into the top 4, shall we?
Yeah, man.
All right, top 4. So we had John Mateer and Lagway both tied. I ended
Mm-hmm.
up putting Lagway ahead of Mateer on this list because I think that's fair. And I basically let you be the tiebreaker on that one because then
Okay.
you actually ended up having Lagway up at number 4. You
Yep.
had Mateer down at number 5,
Mm-hmm.
so right there with it. So I let you be the tiebreaker on that. And so we had John Mateer. The dude's a dog. We know what he's capable of. He can release it. I've seen a lot of people trying to criticize his release being too sideways, but I've also seen him come up over the top. And so I think he's just got such a wide range of where he can release the ball. I think he's dangerous, and
Yeah.
so I think that's why I put John Mateer so high, and I do think that he can be electric and he can be one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC this year. And really that number 3 through 5 there with Arch Manning, John Mateer, DJ Lagway. I really think you could shift those guys around in any order, and I'd be okay with
Yeah.
it because I think they're all that close. And then of course DJ Lagway. It's just really how healthy can he be throughout the season. I think that says a lot.
Sure.
And then and then of course, what's going on around him? How well are the coaches able to help him and put him in the best situations? And for Lenora Sellers, he's a freak. He's one of the top guys. And then Garrett Nussmeier, the reason why he's number 1, you and I both had him at number 1. We also both had Lenora Sellers at number 2. The reason why those guys are there for Garrett Nussmeier specifically, he's the most veteran quarterback on this list. He is the only guy that can be considered a veteran and knows his team around him as well as he does. So that to me is the obvious one there. If I had to pick a Heisman favorite for myself right now, it would be Garrett Nussmeier because I know the dogs that he's got around him. I know it's good. It's an offense that's going to be electric. How much that LSU wins, I think, rides on how good and how much the defense has improved. So that's my question marks for LSU. Garrett Nussmeier is low on the list for questions I have for LSU.
I also don't think Garrett Nussmeier has to go out and throw for 4,000 yards this year.
No.
I think a lot of that, he had a massive weight on his shoulders last year. LSU couldn't run the football.
Yeah.
They were a one-sided offense, and I think when you get to be that in the Southeastern Conference, I think you're exposed a little bit, and having to put the weight on Garrett Nussmeier, it hurts you. It hurts you. Even though he put up the numbers, stats were amazing, and I think he's got some dog in him. But I don't think LSU needs Garrett Nussmeier to go out there and throw for all those yards. If they can run the football and give that extra juice to that offense, because we know they're going to go out and throw it all over the yard and put up big numbers. We know that. But that's not what LSU needs, man. You got to go control the line of scrimmage, run the football, be able to, instead of throwing it on 3rd and 3, sometimes you got to run that tater and pick up that first down and move the sticks. And LSU they haven't had that lately. And so I think if you can do that, it could free up Garrett Nussmeier a little bit, take some of that weight off his shoulders, and he could potentially be even better than he was last year. Number 2, Lenore Sellers, I think he is a absolute freak, dude. I think he could go down in that one spot. I think he's a guy that could take South Carolina to a college football playoff. I think he's a guy that could play on Sundays. He's just a freak. One thing I do need to see is the sporadic mistakes. They got to be cleaned up just a little bit. If they don't have all those mistakes against Alabama last year, they probably win. Some of those mistakes where you could tell it was a redshirt freshman out there, I think going into year 2, him being the guy, I think could be a lot better. Just clean that up, and I think he's a star. Lenore Sellers, I think he's a dog. DJ Lagway, I just haven't liked the vibes out of camp with he's hurt, the ankle, the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that scares me. I think once again,
we both had him ranked at number 4, Lagway. We both had him ranked at number 4. So, pretty much on the same page there.
I think he's a star. I think he's great. The arm is there, man. Another thing that kind of scares me is Billy. Like, I know the way the season ended last year, but what happens if the season starts off like it did last year? What happens if you start losing again? Then people are going to say, "Oh well," and then does that affect Lagway? Like, does this team lose Billy? Now, I think if Florida goes out and they hop on the dub train and they get things rolling, I think it's a rocket ship to space. John Mateer, look, this is a guy that I think he's coming into a very comfortable situation. OC, They got the rhythm. They got the juice. A guy that can sling it. He can move a little bit. He can escape the pocket. All that good stuff. Like usually, Oklahoma has had this Brent Venables is a defensive guy, and you don't want to go play quarterback there. Like they've had that tag under him. But now he said, "Hold on 1 minute." He said, I got this defense. I just got to go get me some offense. I got to go get me a play caller. Come on in here, bring your guy with you, and let's go have some fun." And I think he walks into a very favorable situation. I think the offensive line is going to be better. You're going to get some of those playmakers back that weren't there last year due to injury. And I think you're going to have a solid year. I think John Mateer, once again, that left side of that list, man, I think those dudes outside of Pavia, just because of the situation he's in at Vanderbilt, I think those dudes could lead their teams to the college football playoff. I really do. And
Yeah.
you got a couple on the right side, but I think those guys on the left are for real, man. Like I think those dudes.
Swap Gunner and Diego around real quick and tell me that the
There
left
you go.
side, all of them don't have a chance at the college football playoffs this year.
Yeah, bro. Like
A good
I
chance.
think, yeah, I think they could go. And like we mentioned earlier, it's not a knock on Gunner Stockton. It's just he hasn't played a lot of football. We know you're in a great spot. Show us. So that's it for me.
Yeah, and he very well could be. I mean, because you think of what Gunner Stockton has around him. This is like the first year in a long time that Georgia has been really good at wide receiver all around. And so, they've always had solid guys. They always have that tight end, the freak of nature tight end that they slip in there with Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, kind of that tight end slot receiver, whatever he is, whatever those two guys can be. But, they never really had like just a loaded wide receiver room the way that I feel like they could this year. And so Gunner Stockton could have some big stats and really turn things around too and jump his way up this list very high.
For sure.
But it just goes to show you, though, I think even with the question marks, there's still a lot of talent there in the SEC at the quarterback position.
No doubt. I think this is a much better situation than I think the SEC. Like, you had your guys last year, man, but I feel like talent-wise and like ceiling, I think this year, even though a lot of them are new on the scene, I don't really care about that. I'm talking really like straight potential and talent. I think the ceiling is very high.
Yeah.
I like the whole they're new to the scene. Yeah, I get it. I put it in the rankings, but just when you break down like a Jalen Milroe, look, I never believed in him in that setting at Alabama. I just didn't think it was a great fit. So I look at Ty Simpson a little different. And so that's kind of where I'm basing it off of. Is I think the SEC is in a really good spot at the quarterback position this year than even they were last year, in my opinion. So I think it's deep. I think you got a lot of dudes in there that can play on Sundays. And I think you really got the face at the top with Nuss and guys like Lenore Sellers and Lagway and Mateer and Arch Manning. Like, I think that top is really, really solidified.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exciting too when you think of some of the new guys because, like you said, with the ceiling being so high, what do they bring to the table when they come to the SEC? There's guys that aren't used to the SEC, or maybe they're first time starters on their team. And so I'm excited to see what some of these guys prove because I think there's a lot of guys on that list that have a chip on their shoulder because people are saying, well, he's not used to the SEC. He's not. This is his first year being a starter. He doesn't know this system well enough. There's a lot of those guys up there. A lot of those guys towards the bottom of our list would be those guys with a big chip on their shoulder. And so I think that's exciting. I did want to jump over real quick to the chat because I saw your guy Brett's in the chat. What's up, Brett? He's been big for us here, big supporter right now. He said, "I have a question for Josh. How does it feel to be in the SEC now? I honestly want to get your thoughts on it." You guys already know how special the SEC is, but I don't know if you guys know how special the SEC is compared to how much Oklahoma and Texas fans realize it, because the
Yeah.
first thing that popped in my head whenever I looked at our first schedule was, man, I want to go there to that road game. Oh man, I want to go to that road game. In the Big 12 specifically. So if we were coming from like even the ACC with, going to Clemson or Miami, North Carolina would be a fun venue. Florida State, there's some fun venues over there. Even in the Big 10, I like Ohio State. I'm just going to say this right now, a little overrated. The atmosphere is overrated. That's my opinion. Still bucket list venue to go to. But then of course the big house. There's all kinds of big stadiums, big atmospheres, but there's none quite as big and quite as exciting as the SEC. So the first thing coming to the SEC for an Oklahoma fan was, man, like I get to go watch my Sooners play in Tuscaloosa. I get to go to Death Valley and watch them play down there. Jordan Hare, all around. I mean, there's so many. I think there's very few that I'm like, I'm not going to go to Columbia. I've already been there. Don't need to go to Columbia again. That's just another Big 12 venue. When I was in the Big 12, when Oklahoma was in the Big 12, it was like, okay, I can go to Iowa State. I can go to K-State, Kansas. I can go to, Stillwater was fun at night. And that was a little bit of a rivalry technically. And so, that was a little bit of fun, but there wasn't anything. You don't get the SEC tailgating. You don't get the atmospheres with people on their feet and hollering the whole time. It was like Oklahoma, Texas, and then nobody else that had those kinds of atmospheres. And Oklahoma and Texas didn't even go to each other's stadium. They had to meet up in the middle. So, that's the best thing about coming to the SEC. And then, of course, knowing for sure. So there was so many times when Oklahoma would go 10, 11 wins, and even though they made it to the playoffs, you'd be questioning how ready are they for the playoffs because of their competition. If Oklahoma makes it to the playoffs, being in the SEC, you feel way more confident because of the competition they win against. So it's exciting for sure, man.
Great answer. And I think how much we all are excited to have Oklahoma and Texas in the Southeastern Conference. For real, like, how I've said it 1,000 times. I just think those two programs are historical and they hold a lot of weight. And you really look at the Southeastern Conference, and I think we hang our hat on being the best. And when you bring two of the best programs to ever do it into the conversation, I think you gotta get hyped up a little bit. And so shout out to Oklahoma fans, shout out to Texas fans. I think we're all over the hill just excited to have both of you in the Southeastern Conference. And it stiffens up the competition a little bit. We always say that any given Saturday, Netflix doc, any given Saturday, you better bring your A+ game or you can get your tail kicked. Alabama at Vandy last year. You better bring your A+ stuff. If not, you can go down. And that's the Southeastern Conference, and I think that is the example of Oklahoma and Texas, man. You better bring your A+ stuff, and those are two programs that are going to do it.
Well, and it makes it even less top heavy, no matter what Big Ten fans want to say. Here's the thing I've got to say with SEC fans. I do think there's a lot of SEC fans that have such a loyalty and a fandom of their conference. And I think you and I have kind of talked about this before. I do like the SEC. I love what the SEC brings to the table. I think the SEC is the greatest conference. I didn't want to admit it for a long time because I was in the Big 12. But I always knew that that's the best conference, top to bottom. Now, it doesn't take anything away from the Big 10, but I mean, but at the same time, I think the SEC has so many fans that are just, they love and they have an allegiance to their conference, where I just don't understand that part. And I don't think I ever will. Like having an allegiance to your conference in a way that you just like have to have your conference be better than everyone else. I don't know. It's like, it is better.
Here's my pushback on that. And I look, I've already told you I'm a diehard Auburn fan, right? Yeah. So I'm not one of these fans that's gonna see LSU playing in the national championship. Let's just say college baseball. It was LSU and Coastal Carolina. I didn't pull for LSU because Coastal Carolina eliminated us. Like, I thought Auburn could play for a national championship in baseball. Coastal beat us. In our park, they got us. Okay. I didn't immediately run and say, "Oh, go Tigers, go Tigers." I didn't do that, Josh. But when LSU got there, I don't know if a lot of people remember this in college baseball, but towards the end of the season, all these experts, these college baseball experts, they kept saying, "Oh, well, the ACC is the best baseball conference. The SEC was overrated. They shouldn't have got that many teams in." So when LSU got there, I said, "Okay, go show them who the best conference is." And the ACC crumbled. Okay, they crumbled. They crumbled in Omaha because of Louisville, and they crumbled to even get to Omaha because they were supposed to have 4 teams go to Omaha. Well, they didn't. And then who goes? All right, you got LSU, Arkansas, man. I mean, what a game it was. Arkansas fumbles the bag. It was just an electric atmosphere in Omaha, Nebraska, right?
Oh, I know.
Then you were there. You were
I was
there.
there.
So LSU moves on, man, and they take care of business. So I think all this conference and everybody, all the fans in the SEC were pushing back at all the talking heads that are like, "Yeah, the SEC wasn't great. They were overrated." So now we're sticking our chest out going, "Oh, were we overrated?" Because we're national champs once again from top to bottom. All these people out there, these talking heads, "Oh, the SEC can never be great in basketball. All they have is Kentucky. That's it, man. That's the blue blood." And then what does the SEC do? They get serious about basketball. They go spend the money. They go bring the coaches in. They start recruiting. Now you're the best college basketball conference in the sport. So, like, I just it's not me just sticking up and pulling for a team in that moment. It's just me pushing back at all this nonsense, like the Big Ten, who thinks now all of a sudden they're the best college football conference. And
Yeah,
look,
and
you've won the last 2, but that's it. That's all you've done.
well, and to be fair, so yeah, they won the last 2. They have that, but that doesn't make the Big Ten better. And the reason for that is just the fact that, okay, you've got the 2 teams that everyone says those are your 2 teams in the Big Ten. Now that they've expanded and they've got Oregon in there, you can throw them in the mix. I don't know who else would be really up there at the top. Um,
So the Big Ten, you got Penn
you got Penn
State,
State.
Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, USC. Historically,
Yeah,
USC.
historically, but
Historically,
if we're going to talk right now, and we've talked about this. Okay, so let's just take the bottom of the pack. All right, so when Ohio State marks up their schedule and they go through their schedule, when Ohio State fans are looking through their schedule and they've come across Rutgers and Maryland and Purdue and they come across all these teams, Northwestern, compared to when Alabama or Georgia has to look across the bottom of theirs and see even Mississippi State or even Vanderbilt right now.
well,
And you look at I don't know who would be some of the lower tier SEC teams to kind of throw in there. You got Kentucky. I mean, go on the road at night to Kentucky and tell me that's the same as going to Northwestern, where they're playing on I think the men's soccer field this year.
you're making my point of why 12 teams is way too many in the college football playoff, Josh. Because
100%.
Ohio State played 2 tough games last year and they lost both of them. They played Oregon and they played the game against Michigan and they lost both of them. And guess what? They still made the college football playoffs. Now,
Yeah.
people are going to push back and they'll go, "Oh, well, they won the national championship." Okay, they did, but you gave a team who didn't deserve to be there with their roster, you gave them an opportunity to go. And that is my pushback. And people might say, "Oh, well, you're crazy." Like, yes, I'm not saying that they didn't have the best roster.
Well, and they bounced
But
back too. Yeah, but
they
to your
did.
point, you gave them a shot. You gave them a chance that they didn't really deserve. And
Thank you.
here's where I've always been at with the playoff. 4 teams always felt like, man, we do need to expand this a little bit. But when was there ever a time when we were talking about the 4-team playoff and saying, yeah, but number 5, 6, and 7 it was always about 5 and 6.
Yeah.
There never really was any talk about 7 or 8 being the chance in there. I can remember when there was like a kind of a tiebreaker back in the Big 12 days without a Big 12 championship game, where I think it was Oklahoma, TCU, or Baylor. Which one do we put in? And they were having a hard time of which one of the three do we put in? And so that you open that thing up to 6. I think there's been several other times where we're talking Florida State should have been in the playoffs, but we understood why they didn't make it in there. We understood it, but it's they should have been. So if we would have opened that up to 6, guess what? Georgia, Florida State, those were the only 2 that were in the talks of getting up there. We weren't talking about number 7. We were talking about 5 and 6. We weren't ever talking about anything more than that. So to expand it just seems so crazy to me.
Well, and then one thing I do want to say is I'm not hating on Ohio State, but what I'm saying is you've diminished the meaning of the regular season, and they got into the playoffs because of their name, money, because of the revenue they bring, and the roster, the players they had on their team. That is the sole reason of why they got into the college football playoff, because their resume.
If Ohio State did not make it to the college football playoffs last year with that roster that they had and as much that as they spent on that, how crazy, that would have been the talking point. That would have been the talking point.
I get it. Like, were they? Yeah, that's awesome. What I'm saying is they played 2 games last year, and they lost both of them. They lost them in the regular season. And I'm a college football fan where I think the regular season, I just think it's kind of watered down now because you let so many teams in. That's just my take on it. I miss the strive for perfection, because now I hear, well, we can lose 2 games. We might be able to lose 3 and still make it. I just miss the drive and to strive for perfection. And so that's my little argument.
How about we make a selection, similar to what they do in the men's tournament for March Madness, a selection show where you've got all these teams that they get into this pot and cut away. They're never going to do this because they're greedy and they want all the money.
Yeah.
Everyone can try to say it's something else, but stop letting so many teams get a bowl game the way that it used to be. And guess what? Bowl games mean something. When you go and you play in a bowl game, it should mean something that you're putting an extra trophy in your school's trophy case. That meaning has gone away. And so I think if you cut it down and you cut it down in like half, I love watching football. I'm never, you and I were talking about this whenever they first brought up the expansion idea. Listen, if they make it into 84 teams to get into the playoff, I'm going to enjoy every single game that I can because I get more football to watch. That's not the question. It's about who deserves a national championship. Is it the guy that got in and got a shot when he didn't deserve it? No, it's really. I like the top 4. I think the 4-team playoff was fun. We can have that debate about the 5 and 6. And Brett even made a good point. You're always going to have, okay, well, what about the next 2? What about the next 2? But yeah, it's crazy. 12 is too many. Indiana shouldn't have been in. Boise State shouldn't have been in.
Hell no, Indiana. Indiana was
Ohio
terrible.
State, yeah.
Indiana was terrible, dog. They were awful. And I know if some Ohio State fans sees it, they're going like, "Oh, we beat Indiana." They were horrible. All right.
I won't say they were horrible. I think they were good. They weren't top tier. They were mid. I'll say mid.
All right, let's say I think you could have put them. They definitely wouldn't have been in the college football playoff. I don't think they were good.
If you take that big run from Love away that Notre Dame had on him, I think it was like a 98-yard touchdown. Yeah. You take that away, Indiana was hanging in that game the whole time. That's the only reason why I don't say they were bad. Even against Ohio State, I'm forgetting the play that it was that I'm thinking of, but there was one play where they got a big turnover, and it might have been a scoop and score, a pick 6.
It was right before the half, wasn't it?
Might have been. And if you take that one play away there, they were hanging in with Ohio State too. And, I think the scores don't do those 2 games justice. I do think that they were good, but definitely not playoff worthy. Not playoff.
Brett knows how I feel about that. So Genty should have won the Heisman. Oh, you think Genty should have won the Heisman?
I don't know. I think you and I might have talked about this. So I think Genty, I think I would have given him the Heisman, but I understand giving it over to Travis Hunter. I think that
Yeah,
makes sense. It's just, he was a freak of nature. He was like a generational talent for sure. I just don't think he was great. Like he wasn't great on both sides. Like, oh my gosh, he's an outstanding player on both sides. Like, I don't see it. If he would have been able to focus, for me personally, if he could focus his entire career on the defensive side of the ball, I think he could be an elite player. It's just
yeah,
he wasn't elite because he's spending so much time on the field, and so I don't think
yeah.
he was elite on both sides. He had the potential to
I
be,
think
he just didn't have it out there.
I think that's what made it so special to watch was how many snaps he played, and he still played at such a high level. That's what did it for me. Me personally, I don't think a G5 player should win the Heisman Trophy. Just because of the level of competition you play week in and week out. It's not a knock against Genty because I thought he was great. He was phenomenal. It's the level that you play at. And so,
Can we just split off the G5?
yeah, that's what I
I
would,
mean,
you
it
know
is the
how I've
power
always felt
four.
about that.
Yeah, it is the power
Yeah.
four because again, wouldn't that take down the whole need for such a big playoff?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that reduce that if you end up just having I mean, we can include the Big 12 just because I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really feel like there is much of a threat now. Now that Oklahoma and Texas are gone, specifically
Yeah.
Oklahoma, but but with in the ACC, you still got Clemson. We'll see if Florida State can ever get back to what they were. Based on the recruiting, I think they can. Based on their
Yeah.
coach, I don't know. So like, can we not just make you can still have them integrate and play against each other. FBS plays FCS. So, you can still have them integrate, play against each other, even in bowl games. If we want to keep all these bowl games alive, you can still have them play against each other in those bowl games and stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a G5, best of G5 national championship. And you can create a small playoff out of that. Maybe
With you.
4 teams out of that. And then you can create four teams, maybe 6 teams, with the power 4 as well. And
I'm with you.
I don't know why it would ever get to more than that. Just way too many teams, and we keep on adding more and more. Yeah, I know.
Money. That's all they care
Money,
about.
money, money, money.
That's it. That's all they care about, man. But I'm good for tonight. You got anything else, Josh?
That's all I got.
That's it, man. Next week, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. Is that when you see us again?
You'll see us.
That's
Maybe,
it, man.
maybe even more seeing us.
Yeah, we'll we might dump in some like episodes here and there, like some quick hitters, just to keep y'all up. Maybe do like a preview of a team here, or maybe like a next week talk about a preview of a game or something like that, and it might just be one of us. It could be both of us. Who knows?
And starting next week, we're going to have some stuff to talk about. Starting next week, we're going to be talking about Mizzou and Baylor.
Yeah,
we're going to be getting in. We're going to be getting in. Yeah, we're going to pick our biggest game of the week. We're going to be going down previewing games. Blake and I love doing that. We're going to be putting bets out on the line, and Blake and I can be pretty dang good at that. We might even integrate something to bet with our audience, and then of course we want to hear from you guys too. So let's get the viewership up. Let's get this thing going out there. There are some other hosts from Voice of College Football that post to this channel as well, and keep it going, and have tons of content. So if you're an SEC fan, I mean, this is the place to go.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Hey, next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, catch us here again. A lot to talk about. College football is back, man. And that's it for tonight, Josh. We're out.